And I'd like to welcome you all to our Tuesday 1:30 p.m. session with the Legal Counsel for the Elderly. We'll be talking about identifying and protecting yourself from scams. I'm going to read our disclaimer before we get started. The WildTech DC Senior iPad program, its owners and presenters offer technical assistance, virtual health, well-being information designed for educational purposes only. You should not rely on the information, any apps or topics made by WildTech, including but not limited to mobile device applications and any social media pages maintained by WildTech, its owners, or presenters as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, treatment, or legal advice. Thank you so much for letting me read the disclaimer. If you cannot see us, hear us, or see the screen, please let us know in the chat. We'd appreciate that. Let's make sure to keep our TVs and cell phones silenced to give others and ourselves the most immersive experience. And as always, make sure you take notes and or screenshots so you can review the information later on if you would like. But once again, Robin and some more, if you could introduce yourselves and your topic for today. We really appreciate you all coming on and look forward to our poll and our questions at the end. So the floor is yours. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Alex. Hi, everyone. Again, my name is Robin Griffin. I'm a senior attorney at Legal Counsel for the Elderly, along with my colleague.
Hi, everyone. I'm Samora Bazil, and I am a legal associate for Legal Counsel for the Elderly.
And today we're going to speak to you about scams. How do you identify scams and protect yourself from becoming a victim? So, one moment while I share my screen and we can get started.
Amazing. And make sure y'all check out this session on our YouTube channel. It'll be uploaded in a few days, so you could review it later on if you'd like as well.
Okay. All right. Can everyone see our PowerPoint presentation?
Yep, you're good to go, Robin. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Alex. All right. So, good morning again, everyone, and thank you all for joining and allowing us to be here at your meeting. Your presenters again are myself, Robin Griffin, and Samora Bazil. And our goal today is to help you understand the different types of scams, how to identify them, and again, how to protect yourself from becoming a victim. We are both from Legal Counsel for the Elderly. And if this is your first time seeing Samora and I, again, our goal is to help DC seniors with free legal services and social work services to help seniors be empowered, defend, and protect vulnerable seniors in the district. So we are going to get into the 4 signs for you all to look out for so you can know whether you are encountering a scam. Our mission today is to increase your awareness of scams and fraud, specifically those targeting vulnerable populations. We're going to provide you with tools and tips for protecting yourself, especially with dealing with government programs like SNAP or Social Security. Okay, so the first thing we want you to keep in mind is that scammers often pretend to be from an organization that you may know. And think Social Security, the IRS, or Medicare. Remember that these organizations will never call or text you. They will only contact you through official letters. And we say that because scammers have gotten very sophisticated where they can even, spoof to where caller ID may show up. And it may show up as the IRS or maybe Social Security or Medicare. But we always advise our clients to get the numbers directly. And, if there's an issue, you can always call them directly versus answering a call that you may feel unsure about whether this is really the government agency or not. So you may also notice that scammers often pose as businesses you may know. This can include utility companies or tech firms, and they'll either ask for donations or payments. But again, you want to verify before act. You can always hang up, get their official number, and call back to ensure um, the information is correct and you're speaking with the company directly. Again, it's so important, so I want to mention it a second time. Scammers can spoof caller IDs. They can make it appear as if the call is coming from a trusted number when in fact it's not. Scammers have gotten very sophisticated and they can manipulate technology. So it's okay to hang up, get the official number for the governmental agency, and then you can always give them a call back. It's better to be safe than sorry. Okay, so now we want to talk about understanding scams. Again, scammers may try to attack you through you know, impersonating a business or a governmental agency. And we've noticed that legal counsel for the elderly that there are scams targeting SNAP benefits. So, first, what is a scam involving these SNAP benefits? We want you to know that many scammers pretend to be from an organization that you trust. They may say that they represent a government agency or business or even a charity, but you can always take steps to verify their identity, such as hanging up and calling them directly. Keep in mind that scams are fraudulent attempts to steal your personal information or your money. And one common method is the use of skimmers or card readers. These devices capture sensitive information about your SNAP card without you even realizing it. We've all gone grocery shopping and we've seen, the point of sale machine. So you may want to just take an extra moment to look at the machine, examine it, make sure that there's no attachments on the card reader. If you're going to the ATM, you want to make sure that it's well lit, it's a secure location, and that you inspect the machine before moving forward because scammers, again, have gotten really sophisticated and they can place attachments on the card readers or ATMs to skim your information. So you just want to take a moment to really, inspect before moving forward. Okay, so we're talking about SNAP benefits, but it's also known as an EBT card. And an EBT card allows you as a user to access SNAP benefits for your food purchases. And another common scheme that we've noticed at Legal Counsel for the Elderly is that scammers will obtain your phone number and they will send you a message or a text that your card is locked. And if you click on this link, then they can help you to unlock it. We want you to know that that scam is on the rise. So, one way to protect yourself is to reach out to DHS directly, or you can call the number on the back of your EBT card to make sure that your card is active and to clear up any issues with your card. You can also reach out to DHS directly because, again, DHS shouldn't contact you by text. And if there's any issue about whether or not it is DHS, hang up, don't respond to the text. Get DHS's official number and reach out to them directly. Okay, so we also want to mention a few real life scams that we've seen at Legal Counsel for the Elderly. And this includes a senior who went grocery shopping, and during her shop, she found that her SNAP card was declined, even though she had just received her benefits. So when she checked her balance, she discovered that the funds had been drained by a scammer mere hours after getting her SNAP benefits deposited. We were able to help the senior to go to DHS to report the fraud. And then within 10 days, her SNAP benefits were reloaded onto her card. But we really wanted to come here today to speak to you so that you could have some tools and tricks to use to ensure that you're protected against these situations. The first is what we've already mentioned. If you receive a call from DHS or a suspicious text, you'll want to hang up, reach out to DHS directly. Don't respond to the text. You can always call them directly. Second, you can also lock your SNAP card. If it's not in use, you can lock your card to ensure that it's not used if it's lost or stolen. You also want to keep up with your PIN. Make sure that your PIN is private, that you don't share it with anyone to ensure that your card is safe. And I do see we have a few things in the chat. Okay, I just wanted to make sure we didn't have any questions. All right. So next, we are going to talk about the instant cash scams related to the EBT cards. And what we want you to watch out for is scammers who promise quick cash. If you just click this link, you can sign up for this lottery or for this free cash, or they'll try to entice you by maybe clicking links that often lead to fake websites, mimicking government or financial institutions. But you can protect yourself again by never clicking on links in unsolicited messages. And you always want to verify that the sender's identity before you send any personal information or click on links. All right. So when getting messages, you want to verify the person's identity. You can do this by contacting DHS directly if it's involving SNAP benefits. And we did include the number for you there if you'd like to reach out to verify that. The number for DHS is 202-727-5355. Again, that's 202-727-5355. You'll also, as I mentioned before, want to make sure that you keep your card number and your PIN confidential. You'll also want to make sure that you never share your card or PIN with anyone, even if there's someone who's calling or texting you and they're claiming to be from DHS. You can always hang up and contact them directly. Okay, so what do you do if your SNAP card is compromised? If your SNAP funds are taken off of your card without your authorization? Again, you'll want to reach out to DHS to report the fraud. You'll want to monitor your account for any unauthorized transactions. And you can do that online, or again, you can call the number on the back of your card. And then you'll also want to change your PIN regularly and keep your PIN private. You can also protect yourself by freezing or locking your card in between purchases. You can prevent out-of-state transactions, which is a great feature, um, because scammers are everywhere. And one way to prevent fraud is to make sure that you elect to have that feature to prevent out-of-state transactions. You can also sign up for alerts. That way, anytime your card is used, you can get a text or a notification to your phone. You can also sign up for multi-factor authentication, which will also protect your SNAP benefits further. All right. So, step 2 on how we identify if something is a scam. So, scammers will say that there's a problem that needs to be solved, or there's a prize. They may say that you're in trouble with the government, or that you owe money, or that someone in your family has had an emergency. We see that a lot with the grandparent um, scheme that's going around, where they'll dub the voice of the grandchild and say that there's an emergency and they need to send money fast. We've also seen, viruses on the computer. Oh, just click here to resolve the issue. Some scammers will say that there's a problem with your account, that you need to verify some information, and others will lie and say that you either won the lottery or sweepstakes, but you have to pay a fee to get it. So these are all indicators of a scam. And remember, it's better to be safe than sorry. You can always hang up in the call. Don't click on links, and verify the identity of the original caller or sender. Okay, so now we're going to talk about some scams that occur with Social Security. Scammers will often impersonate officials from the Social Security Administration. They'll claim that you owe money, or again, there's a legal issue with your account, and they may ask you for personal information or immediate payment. But one way to protect yourself is to remember that the Social Security is not going to call you directly and ask for sensitive information over the phone. You can hang up and you can call Social Security directly at 1-800-772-1213. Again, that's 1-800-772-1213. If you're getting a call from someone alleging to be from Social Security, feel free to hang up and contact Social Security directly. All right. So in one case at Legal Counsel for the Elderly, we noticed that a senior received a call from someone claiming that they owed money to the Social Security Administration. After hanging up and calling the Social Security Administration, the senior found out that it was a scam. And that's what we would like for you all to walk away with, that it's okay to hang up in the call and contact Social Security directly, because scammers have become really sophisticated and they use caller ID spoofing to make their calls seem legitimate. So sometimes, we want to be kind, we don't want to be rude, but it's okay to keep yourself safe. You can hang up and call Social Security directly. And I think I am now going to turn it over to Samora, who's going to tell you some general warning signs of a scams.
Great. Oop, okay. So, one of the things that we want to look out for when we think a scam might be happening or if we're unsure about something is the fact that, and Robin has said this and I'll reiterate it, is that they've contacted us. Social Security, DHS, it doesn't matter what government organization it is, they are going to send you a letter. They will ask you to communicate with them in some way um, through something in a letter. They won't call you first. They also won't send you text messages. So anytime you see that type of information, alarm bell should be going off in your head that why did they contact me? I haven't reached out to them. Why are they contacting me first? That should be a first alarm bell. The other is that they're requesting personal or financial information from you. When you are speaking with Social Security or DHS and you reach out to them, they may ask for verification information. But if they're reaching out to you, they have that information, right? They wouldn't be calling you to ask you to verify your social security number. So that's one of those other things that should raise alarm bells. Why are you asking me for that information? And anytime a conversation seems just too good to be true, if you give us $25, we'll give you $200. Things like that don't generally happen. And so if we hear those things again, those alarm bells should be going off that something right isn't happening here. And we can always hang up the phone and contact that agency on our own and figure out what is going on rather than listening to the rest of that call. Okay, so always listen to your own instincts and see, does something feel a little off? And if it does, hang up, call them independently. So, scammers will always try to pressure you to act immediately. The government, any other resource is never going to pressure you to act immediately because we have to think about things. We need to take the time to consider all of the possibilities in a scenario. And so scammers want you to act before you have time to think. They're going to push you to move quickly, to make a decision, to say yes or no, to do this really fast. And they'll seem kind of nice, but also very pushy in the fact that they're saying, act now. If you don't do this now, something else will happen. If you don't resolve this issue now, X, Y, and Z. And we really want to take that time to stop and say, excuse me, I feel like I'm being pressured right now, and I don't want to have that pressure. I need time to consider this before I make any decisions, especially when it comes to our money. We know how difficult and expensive things are right now and are getting, and especially during this time of the year where we're thinking about gifts and spending time with family and buying lots of food for family. We're feeling this like, oh, there's this quick way to solve my problem. I just have to do it now. If I don't do it now, it's going to go away. None of those things, if it's the right thing, is going to just go away that quickly. So we really want to take that time to think and consider what ramifications could happen. And so if someone is pressuring you to act quickly, that's when we're like, no, alarm bell going off. That is not something that we need to be doing right now. We need to stop and wait. And then they might bring up other things where if you don't act now, um, they're going to sue you. If you don't act now, your Social Security will get taken away. If you don't act now, they'll take away your driver's license. They'll take away your house. They'll take away all of these things very quickly. And so you then start feeling alarm bells because sometimes they might portray themselves as the police or as the IRS or as an authority that can have that power to take things away. Nothing is taken away that quickly. And if they are pressuring you to act that fast, it's not going to be taken away that quickly. You will have received lots of letters and alerts if there is a legal process going on. And all of these things to be taken away, there should be some type of legal process. So you want to start having those alarm bells going off. Like, why are they pressuring me to act now or I'll lose this thing? So they're really going to use that pressure to try to frighten you into those things. The other thing that they'll likely do is ask you to pay in a very specific way. And so they'll say, oh, you'll need to sign up for cryptocurrency, or you need to wire money through MoneyGram or Western Union, or put the money on a gift card. And we'll often see that gift card one happen a lot around this time of the year, especially because of the fact that we're buying gift cards and we're buying gifts. And, you know, daughter, granddaughter, niece, nephew, they want those that Amazon gift card or that Apple gift card. And so we're like, okay, let me go get these gift cards. And they're pressuring you to go quickly, buy the gift card now, and then just take a picture of the gift card and send them a copy on the back. You should never be sending anyone a picture of a copy of a gift card. Okay, if you're, you know, buying them for your friends or your family and you're giving them the gift card, that's the right thing to do. But if someone is calling you over the phone and asking for payment through a gift card that you have to send them the picture of, alarm bells going off in your head saying, nope, something is going on here. That is not the right thing to do. Okay. Sometimes they'll go through this other method of creating this type of relationship to say, hey, if you send me a check, I will um, wire you the money back. And that again is another one that should be sending off alarm bells. You should not be giving people money for them to then give you back money. I know it seems like one of those things where it's like, oh, I trust this person. I've made a relationship with them. But anytime there's a specific way for this all to come about of you giving them money or payment in a specific way, those alarm bells should be going off that something isn't right here. Okay. Now, there are a lot of scams that are targeting seniors in particular. And so we're going to go through a couple of ways of how those happen and how we can protect ourselves. So one of them, and Robin mentioned this earlier, is the grandchild in distress. They will go through the system of trying to impersonate your grandchild or a family member, and they'll use a voice automator that will sound very similar to them, or they'll call from a police station saying, hey, you need to do this, otherwise something will happen to your grandchild, or this is the quickest way to get them out of jail because there isn't, they won't get to a judge until a week from now. They'll try to pressure you and do this really fast by tugging on your heartstrings about a family member. And so if something like that is happening, you'll hang up right away, call that family member. You'll figure out another way to get into contact with them because there shouldn't be that type of like pressure to act and to move and to pay in that way when you're doing this. Like I said, the IRS calling to demand immediate payments. The IRS isn't going to call to demand immediate payment, and certainly not through a gift card, but they'll pressure you to make you feel that that's the way it is. And sometimes it'll be the IRS, sometimes it'll be your utility company, and they'll be like, oh, it's Pepco calling to say, you have to pay through this gift card or something is going to happen. Or it's the police, you have a traffic ticket and you have to pay through this way. None of those things are going to happen in that way. You'll get letters, right, telling you, hey, this is the situation and you need to start making decisions. If you don't get a letter and you're just automatically getting a call from these places asking you to pay through gift cards, those alarm bells should be going off saying, this is not right. This is not how things should be happening. And then sometimes they'll offer government assistance, but they'll require you to pay first, right? We'll help you pay your Pepco bill or your water bill. You give us $100, we'll give you 200. And then you give them that 100 and you never hear from anybody again, right? So those alarm bells should be going off. Pepco isn't going to do that. DC Water isn't going to do that. They're not going to require some type of upfront payment to then um, work those things around. And they're certainly not going to call you about it. If they have those plans, you can always look them up online. You can always give us a call to figure out what type of things are happening, but don't feel pressured to sign up for something the moment you hear about it, okay? So we talked about the grandchild scam of a scammer impersonating a grandchild in distress. And so the best way to go around this is to call a family member. Call that person and see if you can get them directly with their number. And if you can't get them, try calling other family members. Like, hey, have you talked to this person? Are they okay? Use your resources to locate that person before you start thinking about transferring any money or paying anything off or going through those situations. Always hang up and take a breath and contact a trusted family member to figure out what exactly is going on in those scenarios. Now, this is another one that has been happening quite a bit, especially as we've been using the internet to become closer to people, to have, to reconnect with people, to build relationships outside of being face to face, especially since the pandemic and all of the things that happened there, is um, they will develop romantic relationships or attempt to develop romantic relationships or friendships with people online. And so you really want to be cautious about um, who you are sharing your information with or who you're developing relationships with online, because it may seem like someone we know and it may not actually be them, especially if it's not someone that we've kept in contact with or someone that we've ever met in person. We really want to be cautious of those relationships. So we want to make sure that things like our privacy settings on Facebook only allow people that are in our network to see our content. And we do that because a lot of times scammers will look through things like our Facebook, like our Instagram, to learn about our family members. And so when they're saying, hey, John is in trouble, this is the school he goes to, it's because that information is online and they've looked through our social media to then try to get that information. So you just want to make sure you're fairly secure about what information you're putting out online, and fairly secure about who you're communicating with, right? Is this someone I've met before? Why is this person that I'm friends with and only friends with online now asking me for money, asking me for gift cards, asking me to purchase something for them, and then they'll return me the money? All of those things are things those alarm bells need to be going off in our head. And then we need to reach out to friends and family and say, something doesn't feel right about this to me. What do you think? And start having those conversations. Because once we have that moment to think, we're like, oh no, I see that this is a scam. I see that what someone is trying to do. But sometimes we just need to have those conversations with people. And I have a link there. And I'll send this through the chat so that you guys can take a look at it later. And it's about romance and friendship scams and how people have really tried to take advantage of many people online. And I always tell people, and I want people to know that this is not something that just happens to seniors. This happens to so many people, um, but the pressure often affects seniors a lot more because of the fact that many of us are on a fixed income, right? Many people only have a certain amount of money coming in, and when we lose that, we don't have the opportunity, the ability to go back out and work again and recoup those finances. So once they're gone, they really are gone forever, and there's nothing we can do about it. And so I really want you guys to always take the time to think and have those conversations with the people around us if we feel that something is just a little bit off. And then let's go to the next slide, Robin. Great. So, some of the things that we can do, just to make sure that scams aren't happening to us or around us and that we're not staying vigilant, is to learn to say no. I feel like this is one of those hard things. I grew up in the South and I was always taught to be super polite, especially when I'm on the phone and someone seems like they're confused or need a little bit of help. I'm always like, okay, how can I help? How can I do this? Someone tells me a really hard story. I'm like, let me see what I can do. And sometimes we really do have to learn to say no and just say, I'm not doing business over the phone. I'm so sorry. Goodbye. And just hanging up. It feels very rude the first few times, and it'll probably feel rude all of the time, but it's the best way to protect ourselves is just say, I don't do business over the phone. Goodbye. Then to check your wallet and your purse frequently, making sure that your cards are where you last left them, making sure that you have your checkbook, that the last check you used is the last check you wrote down, making sure to understand what information is in there, but also removing things you aren't using anymore. Not walking around with our social security card, not walking around with our most recent social security statement that has our name, the last four of our social, our address, and all of these identifying figures, keeping those in safe, secure places. Never accepting friends requests from people that we don't know, even if we think we kind of might know them. If we know them, reach out to them. Say, hey, I just got another friend request from you. I thought we were already friends on Facebook. How do I have another one? And I'm seeing that happening where a lot of my friends are like, I'll have four different requests and it'll all say their name in some variation, but it won't be them. It'll be scammers trying to impersonate them, right? So you want to be very careful with who you're accepting as a friend on Facebook or on any social media. When you're buying things online, making sure that you're very sure that the website that you want to go on is the right website, making sure it actually says Amazon.com and not Amazon, but the O is a zero instead of an O, right? Because that's how scammers will sometimes try to trick us. They'll say to click a link, and if we look at the name in the link, it's just a little bit different, something that our eyes had to be very peeled on to see. So we want to make sure that whatever links or URLs that we're clicking on are the right ones. And then the last thing is to make sure that we know who is showing up to our door. People saying, oh, I'm from Pepco or from the electric company or the water company. Sign up for this. Don't sign up for anything that you don't already know about. Don't sign up for anything without knowing who's trying to help you sign up for it or why. If you haven't reached out to them, you shouldn't trust them. And don't allowing those people to then start talking to you about these things because they'll try to develop relationships and eventually push you into it. If not the first day, eventually. Okay, so we'll be very cautious about those things. Now, if you've fallen victim to a scam, and this happens a lot more often than a lot of us want to admit, um, the first thing you're going to do is contact your bank or credit union and freeze your accounts. The moment you realize it, call them. Say, I want to freeze my accounts. I don't want any other purchases to come through. Nothing. I want to stop everything now. Um, and I'd like a new card. You'll want to make sure that you are asking for those things kind of right away the moment you realize something has gone wrong. The next is to file a police report. It's not always the easiest for any of the police or any legal service providers to be able to get some of that money back. But one of the things that we do need, and generally most your bank, other places will need, is a police report to say, okay, this wasn't you. This is the exact day someone else began taking your information. So anything that happened after this day and time, we know was not you. And then you can report the scam to the DC Financial and Cyber Crimes Unit. There are a lot of online resources as well for you to report if you think a scam is occurring. And so you'll want to make sure that you do that. The biggest thing to do is after you have gotten new cards and filed a police report is keep monitoring your accounts. They're going to keep trying. Once they have access to your account once, they're going to keep trying and you want to make sure that you're seeing everything that's happening. You know which purchases are going through. You know everything that's going on. If you buy things on Amazon, you know exactly how much that was for and that there aren't additional charges that you weren't aware of. Now, this is a lot of information here, but it really just does go back over some of what I said and talking about placing a fraud alert on your credit report. Now, this is very important because if they have a lot of your information, they may try to open credit cards. They may try to purchase large items with your information. Scammers will try to act really, really quickly, but then they'll also try to go back and do things. And so a fraud alert is really nice because once you do it, it'll stop them from being able to open new credit lines in your name. And then if you try to open new credit lines in your name, um, there will be some verification measures so that that way you can always make sure that it's just you. Now, this fraud alert usually lasts a year. And so usually between that time, you can kind of see if they are trying to access your information again, and then decide whether or not you want to extend the fraud alert. It's free, and you just have to contact 3 credit bureaus because that's how most of our credit card companies are going to decide whether or not to open lines of credit is through communication with the credit bureaus. So you'll just let them know you want to open a fraud alert on your account and make sure that no one can open things without your specific verification. And the other one is a credit freeze. This one is a step higher than a fraud alert. A fraud alert will require some verification and can kind of let things through. A credit freeze will allow almost nothing through, and that one lasts until you remove it. So I know a lot of people who just keep credit freezes on their accounts all the time. And then if they're buying a house or a car, or opening a new line of credit, they call up, remove the freeze for a period of time, finish what business they need to do, and then reinstate the freeze again. And so that way, nothing is opened on your account. And for most of us, we're not opening new things. We're not buying new houses or cars every week. Um, so we don't necessarily need our credit to be open in such a way. We can actually freeze it for quite a bit of time and then only reopen it if necessary. And then we talked about the police report. You can file the police report with MPD. You can either go to the station, you can call 311, you can call 911 if you think something especially was happening in your home. Um, but there are just many options there to file a police report when it comes to if you think that, fraud has occurred or there has been some type of scam, especially one that has come to you directly. So the biggest thing that we want you to do is to be aware and take some precautions. I know that it feels like one of those things like we always have to be on alert right now. And sometimes it can feel like that. And this isn't our goal here isn't to scare anyone. It's to help you just think about, hey, these are the things that should give me a moment of pause to slow down. These are the things where I'm just going to take a second and I'm really going to think about what is going on before I make my next decision. So scams are evolving. I know that almost probably once a week, maybe twice a week, I'll get text messages that say, "Hey, FedEx tried to drop off a package to your house. They don't have the right address. Click on this link and update your address with FedEx or USPS." And I'm like, "I haven't ordered anything online. Nothing is coming to me. Why am I getting these text messages?" And I look at the link and it's not USPS or FedEx, it's something else. And so you just want to be very vigilant of what those things are, um, and not clicking anything that we don't know. Because even me, I'll take a second and I'll be like, huh, I'll wait till I get home and I'm in front of a computer or I can talk to somebody who can help me think through, is this the right thing to click on this or to figure this out? Because there's always ways to verify outside of just that text message or just that email. So we really want to just like stay vigilant. The scams are evolving faster than the information that we can get out there. And all it takes is us just giving ourselves a little bit of time to really think and consider before we begin sharing any of our personal information. So, this is some information on AARP's Fraud Watch helpline. If you think there is a scam or you want more information on it, you can always call our helpline. They can give you some information, some tips, some clues, some tricks. Um, the FTC has a couple of different ways of reporting fraud, reporting issues. So if someone comes to your house, if it's a company, if it's a single person, all of those options, always report them online. And then if you think your identity has been stolen, if you think someone has gone kind of the step further beyond you just like clicking information and trying to get your banking information to like stealing your identity, there are ways to report that. And then the last link we have on there is the do not call list, and you can always put your information on there. Um, to request that you stop getting calls. It usually takes about 31 days to stop getting those telemarketer calls, but it does eventually work out. And I generally recommend that people every 6 months or so kind of go through and make that request because there's always new laws and legislation about those calls and making sure that that your information just isn't out there. Okay. And this is our number. I'm sure you guys have it, but if you don't, here it is. If you ever have questions about anything, about scams and how to deal with it, you can always give us a call. Our goal, again, is never about frightening you. It's about giving you resources and avenues to deal with all of this. This is something all of us have had some encounter with, not just through work, but personally. We are all getting those text messages. We're all getting those emails. We're all getting those random calls from 202 numbers. So we're answering them. And then all of a sudden, it's not who we thought it was. And so we're all doing our best to be very cautious. And we want you guys to have all of the skills to be cautious as well. So that's it for me and Robin today. Is there any questions, anything that we can help you guys out with today?
Oh,
I
well,
think.
thank you, Robin and some more for presenting this information to everyone. And like you said, everyone should be aware of this so that way they could also share it with their friends and family, folks we know that are, older and may not have access to what, we learn on a weekly basis. It's really important so that we can benefit ourselves and also our community too, because when we help out another person, we help everybody out. And I really, again, enjoyed the way you guys presented your session with the step by step and just breaking things down in a really easy language. So I really appreciate that. And I took away a lot from your session. It's really just like honing down on these things, and we've learned about it in the past for some of us like many different years, but it's always a great reminder because technology is always evolving. So we have to stay informed and keep sharing this information with others. So thank you. If you all have a question or a comment for Robin and or Samora, please raise your hand in Zoom if you just want to share that you enjoyed the session, or if you have a question, or if you noticed something interesting, or if you want to share anything new that you learned. We love to hear from a few of you all before we end for today. But again, I learned quite a bit. Just thinking about checking your balances, your information, your accounts. That's so important. Like, and there's usually an app for it as well. So, like for EBT, there's the EBT Edge app. I used that with District Direct at one point. That was really helpful to be able just to look at your information. So instead of having to call the card to check your balance, you can utilize the app on your smartphone or your iPads, right? So that way you can check out that information. At a glance, you can lock your card or change your PIN at any time as well with the app. So it's that was a great reminder. And for the ATMs, try to use your ATM that you bank with. So if you have Chase, then I would typically go to a Chase ATM or, so on and so forth. So those are just two things that will be really helpful because many others go to different places or ATMs or other modes of getting their money. So we got to keep our money in mind, as you said.
And Jeanette, it looks like you had your hand raised first and love to hear from you.
Yeah. So again, if y'all have any questions, please raise your hand in Zoom. Okay. Miss Jeanette, you have a question or a, comment for LCE? Thanks so much for.
Yes. I'm sorry. I really enjoyed this. And I was aware of some of the scams, of the grandparent scam, which was really annoying because I'm not a grandparent, but I string them along until they really feel stupid. And Alex kind of answered my question because it's about locking the card and signing up. So I looked up EBT Edge. I didn't do research, so obviously that's legitimate. But there's a Connect EBT app also. Do you know about that one?
The Connect EBT app, I'm not familiar with that, but I think that's good to know the different apps that are available to stay up to date on your information. Tell me a little bit about the Connect EBT app.
I don't know. I just was doing research, and so I put, how to lock your EBT card. It came up,
Yeah.
Connect EBT. Then I looked up how to do a two-factor, and that's when EBT Edge came up.
So each state has their different apps that they work with. And so Connect EBT app, I think works in Maryland, but isn't
Okay.
necessarily a DC app. So
Okay.
I'm not sure if it will work. I mean, I think Alexander told us about one that we know for sure works and is safe and secure. And so that's probably the one I'd stick with. But Connect EBT, or that app works with in other states. And so it's likely a very good, very safe app. It just doesn't necessarily work for the DC EBT cards. Like it probably doesn't pair with District Direct, and so that would be its.
Okay. The other thing I'd like to mention is I love my iPad, because when I get an email, I click on the link, not the link, but the name.
At
and
the
then
top, yeah.
underneath, it will tell you where it's really coming from, this weird name. And so it's really good to check out that way also. So
yeah, that's a really smart way to make sure that, especially when you're getting emails and stuff like that, just verifying what address it's coming from, because they will sometimes make the logos look really similar to what we believe it is, whether that's Amazon or whatever else it might be. But if we look through that address box, we'll see that it's not an Amazon email, it's coming from somewhere else. And so if we ordered something from, and I'm just going to keep using Amazon as an example, we can always just log on to the Amazon website and verify everything there. We don't have to click on a link or anything like that. So if you ever are worried about that, just going directly to the website. And if you're getting a lot of things that you don't think you should be getting, often changing our passwords on the website directly to keep ourselves more secure.
Right. So this device really tells the other, and that's where you find all the weird ones. But I really appreciate it. So I really did learn something. Thank you so much. And thank you, Alex.
Thank you, Ms. Jeanette.
And then Sid Rather.
Yep. Thank you so much. Again, any last questions, please raise your hand in Zoom and we'd be happy to hear from you. But Robin and some more, just make sure you check your direct messages in case you all received anything as well. I've been meaning to mention that to all groups because sometimes that may occur. So Miss Rather. Do you have a
there
question?
We go.
Okay. Thank you, Alex. And thank you, Robin and Samora. That was wonderful presentation. And even though we think we kind of up on it, it's helpful to hear it and remind it. But I have a friend that she's saying she's getting these phone calls. She's not online, but she gets phone calls constantly all day that is affecting her mental health. And I wonder if there's anything that could be done about it. I was suggesting she call your office because it seems like that can be, I know the 202s drive me crazy, but I just don't answer them. I just, click off it. I don't even answer, but she seems to be distressed by it. Is there anything that can be done is anybody suing these people that do these robocallings?
That's a good question. And I'm thinking about the information Samora shared about the Do Not Call website. I would direct your friend to go to donotcall.gov to put in her information to try to stop the calls. And then if she's still receiving calls, there are block features on the phone. She could try to block the individual numbers, but I get it. Sometimes it's not just one number, it's more than one number, but I would definitely start with donotcall.gov.
I would also recommend Scam Shield. Many cell phone providers these days do offer a scam block call option. So I would recommend your friend to give their cell phone provider a call to see if that is offered within their plan. I know T-Mobile does, and it has, I rarely, I don't get a call from folks that I don't know, like pretty much at all.
Wow.
It's very helpful. So just
That's through your T-Mobile scam
any
shield?
different provider. So I would tell your
Yeah.
friend to contact their
Okay.
provider to see if they have that option. Okay.
Thank you, Alex and Robin and some more. That was so helpful. But because we have used the do not call, and that seems to ran out years ago, they stopped being effective. When it first came out, it was effective, but that doesn't seem to be effective anymore. But
It is one of those things that, because of how quickly things change, and the
Mhm.
fact that a lot of these companies can change their numbers so quickly, they'll
Mhm.
try to ways to get around the do not call.gov. And so it's something that I recommend. Like, I go through, and every few months, if I notice that I'm getting a lot more calls than I usually get, um, I'll go back through and I'll just enter in my phone number and I'm like, do not call. And so sometimes that helps. And then I tell all of my friends and family, like, hey, I'm getting a lot of calls right now. So I send everybody to voicemail if they're not calling from their usual number. I only answer things that I have saved. Um, and most people are very understanding of that, but I can understand the distress of always getting these calls and just like having that around all the time. And so I understand where your friend is coming from, and it's a difficult thing.
And the solicitation, like for medical equipment, like
Hmm.
they try to trick you by saying your back hurts. So you're, oh, whose back doesn't hurt? But that, and it's such a, it's a scam or something. And, like, I guess that's more scam stuff, right? Even though they're
It is.
saying they're medically related, it's a
Yeah,
medical issue. And,
it very much is. And so I
mhm,
always say, like, I hate being rude, but I'm like, okay, I have to go now. And I
yeah,
just say bye. Like, okay, I have to go. And I hang up, and it doesn't feel very comfortable to do it. And then you get used to it and you realize, like,
yeah, I do. I have to apologize to friends sometimes. I say, oh, I
yeah,
thought you were a scammer. So, what do
yeah.
you want? You have to be
Yeah.
rude. It's like women living alone. You have to answer your phone, have to answer your door rude, just so that
Mhm.
people don't feel you're vulnerable,
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because, well, thank you so much. I enjoyed it. Thank you, Alex, for bringing it for us.
Thank
Always
you.
great.
Have a
Thank
wonderful rest of your day. All right. So again, thanks so much, you all, for your questions and your comments today. We really appreciate that. And we'll make sure you all stay on for a poll. But Robin and some more, any last tips or any last thoughts for our group for today?
Yeah, I just want to thank you all for your, attention, and thank you for allowing us to be here to give you the tips. And we believe in you. We know you can protect yourselves. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Some more?
And I always say this, a lot of the information that we often provide may not apply to you, and that is 100% okay. We ask that you guys be the sharers of our information for you to talk to your friends and your family, because as often as we do these presentations, we sometimes are seeing a lot of the same people, but you guys are out in your communities. You guys are talking to people who have very similar lives, and so you're like, hey, I only get one phone call, so this doesn't apply to me. But some of your friends and your family are getting lots and lots of phone calls and are feeling overwhelmed and don't know what to do. So we always want you to just share this information as much as you can, so that you can be ambassadors for your own safety and your family and friends' safety. And so if you ever have questions, please reach out to us. We're here. We're always trying to help in any way that we can. And our AARP Fraud Watch Network helpline is an amazing resource for keeping yourself safe. And so please use it if you need it.
Well, thank you all so much again. In the chat, you can check out the Legal Counsel for the Elderly's number in case you want to contact them for any assistance. The identity theft, the do not call, the report fraud government websites are in the chat as well, alongside that ARP fraud helpline number. So make sure you check that information out while you all fill out the poll. But let's all say thank you so much to Robin and Samora and the Legal Counsel for the Elderly for once again doing an amazing job. And make sure you all stay on for our poll for today. Thank you so much, Robin and Samora.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Bobby.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Appreciate it.
Robin and
Happy
Samora.
Thank
holidays.
you.
Thank you so
Thank
very
you so much.
informational.
Happy holidays.
So much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you
Very
so much.
Thank
helpful.
you. Bye.